And for those that are watching, the mayor is excused this evening. Right. With that, we would turn this over to Mr. Donovan for community comments that came in via email.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, Council. You had some comments from the community that were written to community comments at mountvernon.gov, and I will read those today. A few of these are regarding fireworks, and I know some council members received some comments individually. The mayor's office did as well. There were about 9 emails to the mayor's office and 6 phone calls, and individuals and residents in the community who are interested in fireworks data, I would point them to our city website, mountvernon.gov. If you go to the city departments and click on the fire department, and then on the left-hand column, prevention and community safety, there's a link there that's specifically fireworks statistics, both this year and years past. Back to your emails. The first one tonight is from Andrew Spitsness in Mount Vernon. And Andrew writes, "To whom it may concern. This afternoon I had the horrifying experience of watching a house burn down on 11th and Montgomery, 1.5 blocks from my home. Not surprisingly, one of the police officers directing traffic away informed me that the fire was likely due to fireworks. This sort of tragedy was entirely preventable and simply should not happen. Yet sitting at my laptop 6 hours later, I continue to hear explosions every 30 seconds outside my window. Obviously, not all of the city residents have made the common sense link between drought conditions and explosives as a fire hazard. I would hope I could count on city leaders to make the connection. When the surrounding rural communities have burn bans in effect, why is there no fireworks ban in the city of Mount Vernon? Closely packed houses, abundant dry grass, and fireworks are a potentially lethal combination. As a homeowner, I would like to think that the city has a stake in preserving my family's safety and my financial investment in a house. Please demonstrate that to me. Please demonstrate to me that I'm not mistaken. Sincerely." The next comment was written from Laney, and he wrote, "Hello, and this is the 3rd year we have lived here in Mount Vernon, and absolutely the worst year yet around our home of 8 condos for 55 plus residents. What is the city willing to do for our community not to continue to go through this on the 4th of July in coming years? We are sitting in our living rooms with windows and doors closed and have smoke coming into our living rooms. There have been M80s going off for 2 weeks prior to the holiday and even more tonight. Is the city of Mount Vernon good with this for its tax-paying citizens? Please respond to my questions as soon as possible as to why this is being allowed to perpetuate every year and getting more intolerable yearly. Thanks." I noticed on that Councilmember Holst had replied to Laney. However, Laney wrote back a couple of days later, "Hello, unfortunately, I've not heard back from anyone about my previous complaint concerning the 4th of July in our area on North LaVenture. Is this city site that I found online not monitored? When the original message was sent on the 4th, our direct neighbor behind our condo complex hadn't set a tree, shed, and back of home on fire with an M80. Our community needs to hear from someone ASAP. Please. Thanks." Next email was from Bobby and Patricia Pedone. Lots of whining going on about noise. Far as I'm concerned, it's the sound of freedom. I am against any stricter rules on legal fireworks in Mount Vernon. People should be allowed to celebrate with those fireworks which are presently allowed. If you ban fireworks in the city, the only option will be buying from the tribes, which will make the situation worse. The next email is not about fireworks. Dear Mount Vernon City Council members, please accept my personal invitation to celebrate 100 years of Evergreen Goodwill. Please bring your colleagues, friends, and staff to join Evergreen Goodwill employees, students, community partners, and customers for an afternoon of festivities, including entertainment, giveaways, refreshments, and inspiring stories from individuals whose lives have changed through Evergreen Goodwill's job training and education programs. Explore a traveling historical exhibit that provides a glimpse into Evergreen Goodwill's profound impact over the last 100 years through photographs from our archives and interactive displays, and take a tour of our digital equity bus. The event will take place in our parking lot at 242 East College Way, Mount Vernon, on July 14th, 3 to 6 p.m. We are excited to share this historical event with you and hope to see you there. In service, Margaret. And finally, backyard chickens. My name is Arthur Huff. I live at 4014 Creek Place, Mount Vernon, Washington, Ward 3. I want to thank the mayor and city council members for letting me email today. I attended city council meeting on June 14th, 2023. I spoke about possible revisions to city ordinance on backyard chickens. I expressed my feelings on the number of chickens allowed in the backyard. I'm aware the city council is reviewing the chicken ordinance currently. I wanted to mention one thought I forgot to at the last meeting. When the city council decides on the number of chickens for each home, I hope they will consider the total number of chickens combined based on all adjoining houses. In my cul-de-sac alone, we have 7 houses and many more within a moderate stone's throw away. If every house in my neighborhood had chickens, there could be a very large chicken population, far more than most city residents might be comfortable with. Thank you for your past considerations and for reading my email today, Arthur Huff. That concludes your community comments in written form.
All right, thank you, Mr. Donovan. Is there anyone from the public here tonight that would like to address council? We'll open the floor to anybody that has any comments that they'd like to make to council. Right, hearing that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have items A, B, C, and D on the consent agenda. What is council's pleasure on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda presented.
Motion made by Councilmember Brocksmith, seconded by Councilmember Carres. Any discussion? All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by a sign of nay. Ayes have it, the consent agenda is adopted. And we are going to go into our Public Works and Library Committee meeting. That would be Councilmember Molinar.
Okay, thank you, Mark. We opened up our meeting tonight at 6 o'clock. After the approval of the June 14th meeting minutes, program coordinator, actually, we had a presentation from WashDOT, Krista Michio, provided some information about not the possible painting, because it's been a long time, but they are planning on painting the bridge in 2025 for State Route 536. And hopefully we'll be able to be involved in some of the complete streets, you know, with sidewalks and pedestrian improvements. Next, Blaine Chesterfield gave us an update on the Stokely Tower foundation caps, their project which started on July 10th. This is being done by Skokone Construction Company and is scheduled to be completed by July 28th. This will also give a lot of stability to the Stokely Tower. On July 25th and 26th, a 30-foot deep inclinometer for the slope monitoring will be installed at Skagit Highlands detention pond, and that will check for depth and tracking movement. We also were able to have the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad had some track time that was available the other day, so we were able to, Streets Department was able to weld on the channel, which completes construction of the flood wall over the BNSF tracks. Bill Bollick then gave us some project updates. Let me see, the 2023 curb ramp project is substantially complete. Division Street paving will be striped by the end of the week. 18th Street paving was finished yesterday. Paving of 35th Street and Fox Hill neighborhood will be completed by the end of the week. And the Hogue LaVenture signal is ongoing and on schedule to be completed by the second week of August. He also gave council an update on the details regarding the PBS engineering contract amendment, and this issue is on our regular council meeting agenda tonight. And then we had library committee topics from Isaac Huffman. He gave us some updates. The second floor is almost done on our new library, and the third level is underway. So we'll see lots of going up instead of, just doing groundwork, so. He talked about the summer reading program, there was 325 signups this year, there was 120 more than we had last year. And then, for the good of the order, Chris Phillips had a discussion about Wells Nursery drainage issues and the possible solutions that they came up with. And we close the meeting at 6:59.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. Councilmember comments, are there any councilmember comments this evening?
I have a comment. Before the 4th, probably middle of June, I just had tried to remind everyone to please be good neighbors. And just to be mindful that the 4th was around the corner and anything that went up and or blows up is illegal. I personally don't mind the loud booms and what goes up in the air, but here's the thing, they're illegal. The minute they leave tribal property, it's illegal. And it really puts a strain on not only our community, but also our police and fire. As an example, there were 185 total calls for service in a single day on the 4th. 134 of those occurred between 5 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. They weren't all fire, or they weren't all firework related. 61 of those calls were just non-firework calls. Prowler call, hit and run accident, threatening calls, domestic violence. And so I don't know what it was this year. I really thought we did a better job at putting the word out there on what is legal and what isn't legal in the city, but it was just far more prevalent in the city. And so I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Any other comments?
Yeah, me. I just wanna tag on to what Councilmember Beaton said. It was the worst I've heard it in many years. It was constant, one right after the other, and starting days before and lasting days after. And I know what the taxing is on our departments. And for people, like Melissa said, it's illegal. It does pertain to you too. Just because you don't like it or you think, it doesn't mean me. Yeah, it does mean you. And you put a strain on other people's lives. I was around animals, they were stressed out and shaking, and it's awful, and you need to have more respect for your neighbors. It's just, like she said, it's so disappointing and just frustrating that people have so little care about their neighbors. And it's a small group of people. I'm not saying it's everybody, but those people are the reasons that laws have to get stricter, because they're not willing to follow the laws that we've put into place. I don't want little kids to not be able to use sparklers, but who knows, we might get to that point. It's like everything's illegal because some people can't follow the law that we've outlined. So I agree with Councilmember Beaton. It was a very frustrating block of time.
Councilmember Chris.
Yes, it's just being with my colleagues, the same point is because we see the safety, not just for the adults, it's for the little ones, even babies. For example, what happened in the South 20th Street, it was 2 babies that they were killed that night because people not just using fireworks, people take advantage of the date or what is going on and using guns. That is completely is very painful and it's very scary, and how we can be able to bring on the street things like that when babies are participating. I understand just coming from the pandemic situation, everybody wants to go out and celebrate. Everything is completely there, but I think we need to be more responsible. I don't want to put this in somebody's back, but I think it's time for all of us to be responsible for things like that because it's people's life.
I'm just gonna follow up just a little bit on what my fellow council members have said. We haven't had a public safety committee meeting since the 4th of July. last year, we went through a process and we actually increased the penalties for the use of illegal fireworks. And I think law enforcement was trying to educate people this year, and didn't write as many citations as possibly they could have. We'll have we'll have a public safety committee meeting the first part of August. And some of these topics are gonna be discussed is when do we give warnings, when do we not give warnings? When do we confiscate, when do we not confiscate? And we're gonna be looking at, what can we do to better enforce the laws that are on the books and make sure that those that are violating those laws are penalized. Any other comments?
If I may.
Sure.
Thank you. Just on the same topic, just to say that I know it's a difficult topic to try to figure it out. I mean, the city has looked into this before. The city has done measures to prevent it. And again, I mean, I saw it, I heard it, I smelled it, I read about it. And so I know that it's more needs to be done. I know this conversation isn't the appropriate conversation to do it. So I would be looking forward to the Public Safety Committee meeting so that council can get together with the city's chiefs and have that conversation to see what exactly can be done and explore any other potential options to try to discourage that type of unlawful behavior.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna forego a mayor's report this evening. And is there any committee agenda requests?
Yes, I'd like to make a request that we study for during the next two public safety committee meetings, a fireworks all-out ban that I hope that can come before council by the end of September to consider. And we would be following suit with the three other major cities in the county.
And I'm just gonna remind council that any action that we take on fireworks will not go into effect for 1 year. So if we adopted something in, say, August or September, it'd be August or September of 2024 before it would go into effect. And it would not affect next year's 4th of July. So I don't want public getting hopes up that there'd be nothing that everything would be illegal January 24th, or excuse me, July 4th, 2024. That law, according to the state law, we can't put anything into effect for 1 year. But we have that recorded. Thank you, Councilmember Beaton.
Thank you.
All right. We have any other committee agenda requests? Okay. Have no unfinished business. I would invite Mr. Bullock to come forward with the approval of an agreement to amend PBS Engineering and Environmental Incorporated.
Thank you, Council. Good evening. So we have a proposed amendment, third amendment with the PBS Engineering Environmental Contract for the construction management for Freeway Drive, and I will read the memo into the record. Throughout the construction of the Freeway Drive project, there were an inordinate number of change order requests made by the contractor. Several were determined to be unacceptable and rejected, throughout the duration of the project. This level of change requests from the contractor increased the amount of administration to document, research, and respond to each request, including additional inspection time to track such activities. Part of the inspection cost increase was also due in part to weather-related project duration increases as well, such as the 2021 flood event. This amendment represents a true-up of the construction management costs that required additional effort and exceeded the limit of the original professional services contract. Services to fully compensate PBS for these services. This serves to fully compensate PBS for these services to complete construction. Contract amendment number 3 adds $58,070 to the current contract for a new contract total of $542,814. And I'll open it to any questions the council may have before they make a motion.
All right, we had discussed this during our Public Works Committee meeting, but is there any additional questions for Mr. Bullock?
I would just like to thank you for keeping us apprised of this whole project, all the whole time it was going on. We had meetings all the time about this, so you really kept us in the loop, as they say. We knew what was going every step of the way, so I do appreciate that. Also appreciate the fact that this is going to save us money in the long run, which is what we want, on time, under budget, basically. So this is very good, and I thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the mayor to execute contract amendment number 3 with PBS Engineering and Environmental.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilmember Hudson, seconded by Councilmember Correas. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by a sign of nay. Ayes have it. Motion is approved. At this time, I would like to call an executive session. I'm gonna ask our city attorney to state the reason for the executive session.
Thank you. I invite the mayor, Pro Tempore, our host, and many members of the city council to enter into executive session to discuss with legal counsel enforcement actions, litigation, or potential litigation to which the city, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in either adverse legal or financial consequence to the city pursuant to RCW 4230 110 subsection 1I for 15 minutes, no final action after. That would bring us out of executive session at 7:40 or 7:39.
I'm going to adjourn the council meeting, or the council into executive session at 7:24.
I can't say how long.